So thank you all for joining us today for the launch of the e-Toolkit for the elimination of asbestos-related diseases, 21-22 edition. To our very special guests, and there are many of you, thank you so much for joining us across all your time zones. Today we present to you from the land of the Wangal clan. We acknowledge Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders as the first inhabitants and the traditional custodians of the land, and we pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the traditions and our culture. For those of you who do not know me, I am Kim Brislane, and I have been working with ADRI for around 14 months now and have worked closely with Professor Ken Takahashi, and it's been my great honour to do so. So today, shortly we'll present a video presentation to celebrate the launch of the e-Toolkit. There'll be special messages from His Excellency, the Governor-General of Australia, Mr. Alex Manguiro from the United Nations, and Dr. Richard Brown from the World Health Organization. And of course, we'll hear from Professor Ken Takahashi. Now, as this meeting is on Zoom, and I know we are all fabulous at Zoom after the last couple of years, hopefully the technology is our friend today. So our video, the video we're showing you, is working perfectly from our end. It will depend on your server, but we'll also be sharing the video on our YouTube channel. So I will be sharing that link with you all afterwards. So following the video celebration, we will also hear a few words from our chairman, Mr. Peter Tai, and then there'll be closing remarks from Professor Ken Takahashi, and he can take questions if there are any. But for now, please join me and the entire ADRI team as we salute the launch of the e-Toolkit. I will now hand to Peter Tai for some comments.
Thank you very much, Kim. I hope my microphone's working and you can hear me. I just wanted to thank Ken on a personal basis. I'm the chair of the ADRI. It's the foundation that oversights the work that ADRI does. And I've known Ken for a number of years, but we've worked closely together over the last 3 years. And what was produced today would never have been possible without Ken's foresight into this area. Prior to the development of the e-Toolkit, Ken ran a number of workshops with our near neighbours to introduce the skills and the capacity to deal with ARDs. When we faced the dilemma with COVID, the problem was that we had a call for more information, but we needed someone to deliver it. So Ken, working with the team at ADRI and the support people and his colleagues that he knows very well internationally, have put together a really worthwhile tool. And Ken's right, we can't stop here. This is a tool and it's to be used with the support of agencies like ADRI and other agencies in the world, whilst we continue to fight the global burden of asbestos-related disease. Whilst we're a relatively small company by comparison, we have a very high impact of asbestos in our society. There's a debate as to who is the greatest user of asbestos prior to bans, us or Belgium. And the impacting effect of 4,000 deaths a year in Australia, I think reflects that we have utilised asbestos to a level where it's now a chronic disease in our sector. It's much greater than our road toll. And people like Ken, with his international expertise, has shown us that whilst we continue to work on our own agenda within Australia, working with our global colleagues is a very important thing. So on a personal basis, I want to thank Ken. I say that on behalf of the Foundation Board. Paul Bastian, one of my colleagues who is the chair of the Finance Committee, has worked very closely with Ken too, and of course all the staff at ADRI. So Ken, whilst the 5 years you've been with us here at ADRI have gone through very quickly, I think you leave us with a legacy and an insight in the need to do work internationally, which will stay with us forever. Again, I want to congratulate Ken on his work. Diana, who worked as the editor, put a lot of this material together, but Kim came in and assisted in finishing the job off. And I want to thank the WHO, the UNEP, and of course Karen Howard, whose philanthropic donation allowed us to complete the work, because it's not an inexpensive exercise, and the fight to remove ARDs must go on. I just want to thank Ken for his time as the leader here at ADRI and wish him well into his future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Peter. I will now hand over to Professor Ken Takahashi.
Well, first I wanted to thank Peter for his very kind words. And I want to make this short and sweet because I understand that there are people joining from other time zones. Some are already close to midnight. And so, yeah, Peter mentioned very generously about my retirement. But because this is not a retirement ceremony, it's a launch of the e-Toolkit. I want to, in fact, open the Q&A session, and that will be my real last role here at ADRI, my official role. Of course, Peter was kind to offer me some kind of a international advisory role. I don't know if that will be approved by the board, but yeah, I'm really honored if I am given that role. And as Kim said, and Peter said too, this effort has to continue. A toolkit has value only when it is combined with face-to-face training and personal interaction, especially with developing people in the developing countries. We really have to reach out. We can't just sit and wait for people to access our toolkit. Although, thanks to all the arrangements done by ADRI staff and Real Story, it will be 100% accessible for those who have internet connections. And hopefully this toolkit is good enough so that people can come back again and again to learn things. Okay, so much for that. As I said, short and sweet. Are there any questions or comments that people would like to raise? Okay, I see Tim already raising your hand. So Tim, please.
Thanks, Ken. So I want to say a couple of things, or say something and ask something. Firstly, I want to say thanks very much, Ken, for all your work over the last 5 years. It's been great from Australia's point of view, and not really just over the last 5 years. Thanks for your work over the many decades that you've been working in asbestos. And I certainly hope you're not lost to us, Australia, with that work. And the question I have is, I'd be interested to know sort of your reflections as to what you think the challenges are for Australia and perhaps for developing countries as well, in terms of asbestos-related exposure and diseases. You know, where do you think that the efforts are most needed?
Okay, so let me give it a try. I think the most challenging part is the time difference or the time lag between the stage that developed countries are in. Australia, I think we started to realize the burden of asbestos-related disease several decades ago, whereas the developing countries, they have either just started to realize the problem, and the expertise actually has to develop from now. But what we do know is that they have been using asbestos at very high levels, and many of them continue to do so. Although the amount the volume of asbestos in terms of raw asbestos, that is fortunately decreasing. But many of the developing countries have not banned asbestos, so there is no legal situation where they can prevent, especially the asbestos-containing products, from coming into their countries. And ADRI, together with ADRI staff, we've been around many developing countries, and we do realize that the consumption is continuing. And so what we have to expect is that this burden is either hidden now, but we just don't see it, or it will eventuate in the not very distant future, in the very near future. And because of this time difference, the gap, the developed countries will just go ahead and mind their own business. That's a natural tendency. And it is likely that the gap between developed countries and developing countries will stay there unless people like us, ADRI staff, our collaborators, and you as an advisor, Tim, for ADRI. We have several other advisors joining us today. Unless we really take them into consideration, keep them not in the back of our minds, but in the front of our minds, because they're going to suffer. But fortunately, because we have been designated as a WHO collaborating center, we now have the recognition to do so, and we will have backup. Hope to continue to receive backup financially even, so that we can really continue to collaborate with them. And when I say collaboration, I'm sorry I'm talking very long, but when I say collaboration, it's not only a one-way effort. It's not only because we have the moral obligation to assist developing countries. It's a mutual benefit. We can work under the principle or the spirit of reciprocity, because, and ADRI researchers know this very well, we provide assistance. Yes, we do it from our hearts, but we also want to collaborate in research so that we can together develop research, and that will create a win-win situation. Thank you. I think I spoke too long. Usually I don't do that. Either you can raise your hands, or I think you can use the chat also to write questions if you're shy. And Kim, let me know if you see any hands, or if someone writes a question in the chat.
Sorry, Philip Hazelton, I think.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and that, okay, go ahead, please.
Thank you, and congratulations on the launch of the toolkit, work of ADRI, and your own work, Ken, and all at ADRI. I was wondering, because we are at United Broader Feeder and we have the program across Southeast Asia on this campaign, but I'm just wondering, is there a training or education support that goes with the toolkit that ADRI is planning in the next 1 or 2 years that we can link with or benefit from or help you or whatever the case may be? And that would be very useful to know if there's further support or ideas about
okay, thank you. That's a very important question. And first I'll answer. I think Peter can follow up. The Karen Howard grant, and she's a philanthropist, an American philanthropist. it was actually meant to do exactly that, to do actual training, to not only do training workshops in the developing countries, but we also had a plan to invite experts to train in Australia with ADRI, of course, being a coordinator and being one of the platforms for their training. Now, as you know, the COVID upended everything. And so our plan, we could not materialize this plan for both going out to do workshops or for inviting experts to do the training in Australia. So it all depends. Well, number one, we need a continuation of funding to do that. Honestly speaking, we had spent most of the budget on developing this toolkit, so there's not much left. But I know the Australian Academy of Sciences, some representatives are joining this session, and well, if there is a will, and I am confident that there is a will, and I'm happy to work together with ADRI, but someone in ADRI has to take the lead to apply for grants, and so that we can actually deliver in the actual setting, as well as to be inviting researchers, practitioners from developing countries. And we can use this toolkit, and I think that is the best way to make use of this toolkit. And I'll be happy to work with Kim Brislane and others in ADRI to apply for international cooperative grants that allows this kind of activity. Oh, and Peter, do you have anything to follow up?
Ken, I think it's very important that you highlighted some of the issues that we've had. And part of that problem, obviously, is resourcing. And we were very lucky to get Karen Howard's support from the USA. And of course, as Phil well knows, we've been working with a feeder and with Justine at ASEA to try and get joint arrangements in place. And I think whilst we can add that technical expertise and pull together those people with the practical knowledge in medicine and treatment, we also need to find partners who can also work with them to assist in relation to prevention and elimination. And certainly, as Phil knows, that's one of their roles. We're always looking for money. Research and innovation is always a difficult area to fund. But I think we are now moving down the track. Kim has taken a very strong role in that area. And as you're aware, we were introduced by the Australian Governor-General, and we have the support of the New South Wales Governor-General. And we need to continue to knock on doors to get that money available. As you're aware, our constitution and our strategical plan calls for working with our near neighbours, because the global burden of diseases, and one of the problems we face in Australia, whatever products are being manufactured overseas and by countries who aren't aware of the problem, every country in the world is subject to new materials coming in that might contain asbestos, which continues to keep the legacy of asbestos diseases flowing. So it's a worldwide problem. We've got a responsibility to work with our near neighbours. And as money becomes available, I'm sure that we'll continue to focus on the work that we've done on a face-to-face basis in the past. As you're right, Ken, this is a tool. It gives a lot of information. We do have the capacity to have international webinars to assist, but there's nothing like face-to-face training to ensure that that happens. And you raise the issue of your international consultancy, and I appreciate the fact that you volunteered to do that, and it's quite clear it's something that the ADRF and ADRI want to continue into the future, because your insight and knowledge in that area is something that we value, and I don't think there's a person with a greater understanding of the needs, especially in developing companies, than yourself.
Kim, could you kindly introduce some of the comments, or is it a question? I see two in the chat.
Yes, so Sarah Nagamatsu, congratulations. We are so proud of ADRI. And Surya Ferdian, Lion, Indonesia. He agreed with Philip. It was great. It is great to have the toolkit, and it would be tremendous if we also had the additional skill on how to use it. Congratulations, ADRI and Professor Ken Takahashi. They're the two comments. We're currently joined, though, I just wanted to let everyone know, about 50 of us from around the world are currently on the call. Deborah has a question, Deborah Yates.
Hello, and I'd like to say thank you very much. It's a fascinating and really important thing to do, which has a great practical significance for our neighbours and also for ourselves. If I could ask just something rather basic, could I ask how you plan to disseminate this within the respiratory medicine and occupational and environmental medicine community within Australia? Because I'm sure that we would all benefit greatly from this sort of thing, and I think it would be an excellent sounding board on which to actually build further in the future. So that's my question. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Deborah. And I think that's an important direction that we have to think about, because it is not only about dissemination to these scientific academic organizations, it's about receiving their input. Because our toolkit, we structured it, we designed it so that it can grow, to morph. And although we are very proud that we have a very rich content, we covered a wide area, certainly there are holes here and there. And we did benefit from the collaboration, both nationally and internationally. But I'm sure, especially the clinical organizations that you mentioned, if they are willing to pitch in their expertise, we really want to do that. And I have been talking about this with Kim, and said that we are only at the starting line. This is not the goal. And let me just give you one example. I think many people, researchers, produce, what's the right word? We make PowerPoint presentations, right? And what happens with those PowerPoint presentations is that we use it once, or we may recycle it on maybe one or two more conferences, but it usually, the life cycle ends there. It's stored in your own hard disk, and it doesn't get to be used. So I'm sure if people have the willingness to pitch in their PowerPoint presentations, as well as other papers even, because in this day and age, we can always set up links. And PowerPoint slide, there's one example in our toolkit that we, and I think it belongs to Matt Soberg. Matt did a presentation in one of the training workshops in, I believe that was in the Philippines. And it was about notification, coding, notification, and registration of ARDs. And we knew it was an important topic, but we couldn't get a contributor to write a full paper about it. So we asked Matt to just share his PowerPoint with us, and Real Story put it up on on our website so that people can just click the slides and see it. So I think there is a good potential that this a toolkit can develop further. And as you say, we need further connections. We need to strengthen ties with clinical organizations as well as other expertise. Sorry, I'm taking long again, but one thing I also noticed when I look back, we don't have any representation by lawyers. But I did write in the introduction that asbestos disease is such a complex disease, and it has a social, legal dimension. Yet our toolkit doesn't have a section on the on social, legal dimensions of asbestos-related disease. And I think we should reach out to lawyers who are rightly experts in their field and very knowledgeable about asbestos-related disease. So thank you, Deborah.
Ken, one question's just come in on the chat.
Yeah.
From Melody.
Yeah.
This is exciting and hopefully will bring a coordinated approach. My question is about workers' education. I lived in Asia for 25 years and Laos for 16 years, some of that working in education with AMRC, and I'm aware how hard it is to get information across in language, and I don't just mean linguistics, that workers can understand. I'm thinking animation might be a technique that lends itself to a story talking medium that is more likely to work and get workers on board no matter what level of literacy.
Right. And I know I'm not the only one who can answer this question. And I know Kim can answer this question. And I know Jason of Real Story can answer this question. Because I always get bored when you hear just the same person speaking for so long. And I'm sure people are getting bored hearing my voice and my words. So Kim, you know the answer to this.
Yeah, well, Jason's here with me, so I might just
go ahead.
Jump in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hello, everybody. I'm Jason from Real Story, and I've worked in collaboration with our producer, Zanny Abbott, and we've created, I think, a suite of 7 or 8 videos that are currently being produced or have been produced into the e-Toolkit. And we're looking forward to the production of an animation of the journey of mesothelioma through the different stages on the human body and potentially what ADRI might be able to do to circumvent that. So that's still in production. It's very exciting. We've really enjoyed the process and we've learned a lot along the way ourselves so far. But we are finishing, I think, by the end of December, all of the content. So we're looking forward to that being plugged into the toolkit as it goes. And I agree that vision is such a great language barrier smasher, right? So people can see, there's no need for any linguistics. It's something that we could all understand together. So that's something that we look forward to, and that's the medium that we work in. So we're very proud that that's come up as a question.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Let me just add also that the closed caption, we have 6 UN languages, right? For every video. And I'm not going to test Kim, what are the official 6 official UN languages, because we went through this before. And I know even the 6 official UN languages do not cover the needs of especially the people in Southeast Asian countries. If there is a strong need, for example, to insert a closed caption on a particular language, I think we should accommodate that need. And as Jason said, we do have videos that even for non-English speaking people, I think the message is clear. For example, we have a video that featured a patient visiting a general practitioner, and the general practitioner suspects that this case is asbestos related. Well, it was actually mesothelioma. And then the general practitioner consults specialists, other specialists, so that he or she can confirm the diagnosis. And so we go through the entire journey of the patient. And I think with a English closed caption, even with the Australian accent, I mean, I can't criticize the Australian accent. I have a Japanese English accent. I think people will still be able to learn. But for all the educational videos that we produce, we will have closed caption in 6 UN official languages. Also, I think, yeah, we have an animation. Oh, the animation video costs so much, but it shows what, let me say it this way. It shows how preclinical research or research done in the lab is related to the clinical scene. And you know, that is one strength that ADRI has, preclinical research. And we want to make it relevant, even in the context of international cooperation. So every lab researcher in ADRI had the mindset how lab research can benefit developing countries. Of course, we are keenly aware of the limitations in the resources, but keeping that in mind and producing videos, writing text, makes it very different, makes our toolkit distinct from others, if there are others. I don't think there are many others. Well, I know actually there is a educational resource made by the Health Safety Executive of the UK, but it's written in only in English, plus it's geared towards the UK scientific community. It doesn't have the developing countries in mind. But let me also add that some of the videos that we produced are not only for the developing countries. It has relevance to Australia. That's why, well, that's one of the reasons that I said we assist developing countries for the sake of developing countries, but we also think that it will benefit us. It has to be a win-win situation so that the effort can go on and it becomes sustainable that way. Okay, I think unless I see any more hands or anyone who really wants to make a comment, I did promise that I want to make this session very short and sweet. Okay, I'm looking across. I'm really happy that the number of participants we have for the moment is 44, and it didn't decrease, it only increased. So I think that is a good sign that people were interested in this endeavor. So Kim, you said I will say my last word, but actually I said many acknowledgements. I said thank you to many parties. I don't think I should repeat that. So so Kim, I think you should close it.
I will take it. I don't know if, you know, I just thought one nice parting symbol might be to take our computers off mute, and just a round of applause to the people who've been engaged in this incredible project. So,
that's a good idea.
Well done, everybody.
thank you, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
you
you.
very much.